the topic because it was still half baked. The ideas in my head were still kind of like half there. So now,
And then that's the irony, isn't it? That you can't rush these things because sometimes you can't rush the topic name. So
yeah, yeah, sometimes it's obvious, right? It flows, but this one for me it didn't quite because I had what I thought were two competing thoughts, but I think they're competing because balloons.
you've
I
got
think
balloons.
I think they're competing a piece. I think they're competing because it is the same topic. It's just they're on different ends of the spectrum. So today's topic, you can't rush these things. Thanks, Chris, for helping me out with that. And I think it's the like if you kind of picture these things on like a balance, what do you call it? Those
Like a seesaw?
a teeter totter. In Canada, they're called
Oh,
teeter totters.
oh, okay. In Australia, they're called seesaws. We don't have them anywhere really
No, no,
anymore, but
no. I actually got really hurt on one as a kid. There was like 10 people on one side and they like pushed it really hard and I held on to the handle for dear life and that made me go and I smashed my head on the other side.
yeah, seesaws were known for that, and they were wooden, and you get splinters on them. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
they were great things,
Yeah.
weren't
So
they?
I'm pretty sure that was my first concussion. So maybe this is why I am the way I am. All right. So yeah, on the seesaw. So oh, I wrote this down. So I think there's part of me that's wanting to like force something. Like I want to make it happen. I want to like get out of where I'm at and be autonomous and not have to worry about, let's say, like the government job, let's say, right? So wanting to make something happen, maybe
Mm,
forcing it too much. And then the
mm.
other side of it is knowing that what's like waiting for the right time. Like, what is it going to take for me to actually put my stamp out there, like put it out there and offer some things. So yeah, so I'm kind of teetering between the two. When's the right time? Do I go now? Do I not go? Or does it need, am I putting too much thought into it?
Yeah. And there was so yes, oh, yes, and
Yeah.
yes,
Yes.
everything for everything. I, I'm always getting things done. So just this morning, oh, so funny. Um, we have here this week curbside pickup. So our local council will come and take any sort of old dishwashers, all that sort
Yep.
of white goods or that sort of stuff. So uh I had a few things that I wanted to get out of the house for that to happen. And, typical with curbside pickup, you put something out and like within half an hour, it's usually gone and council haven't had to pick it up yet. They don't come around till next week.
Scavengers. Yep.
But you put it out early. So this morning, so it's been raining here all week, pretty much. And so I didn't want to put anything out while it was raining because if this, like you said, if the scavengers come along, I'd rather them have something that's not water damaged,
For sure.
particularly because I've had cupboards left to
Mm.
put out. And so today is looking very sunny. There's a few menacing clouds, but all predictions are it's going to be rain-free today. So we get up at 6 o'clock this morning, like, hey, Renz, can we get these cupboards out? I really want to get them out. And he's like, you just don't stop, do you? You just have to make things happen. Oh, here we go again. Yes. So there's this kind of interesting relationship I have with wanting to get things done and then also letting things happen.
Mhm.
And it's like even in just for that topic, it's like there's this constant, oh, do I just let that play out? How do I feel about that just playing out, or do I really have to force this to get out? Well, this morning I can tell you all those cupboards are out on the sidewalk, and hopefully, sometime today, someone scores some cupboards. That'd be great. Uh, so I did make that happen today. And in the same breath, like if I didn't push that at 6 o'clock, I mean, it's Friday morning here. Friends had somewhere else to be, like work, you know. But at 6 o'clock, I wanted to get those cupboards out. And it's like like interrupting his morning routine to get that to happen. And maybe we could have done it tomorrow when it's Saturday and it's a little bit easier and there's not as much pressure of being anywhere. But no, no, I needed to force the issue. So cupboards got put out. How much difference does it make to my life that it got out today or got out or it gets done tomorrow? And this is the question I ask myself on everything. And yet, when I get it done, it feels really good.
Ah, the payoff.
So there's a bit of a um, when I see things landing or getting something done, there's a level of satisfaction that I'm aiming towards.
I mean that makes sense because I think we're action people for the most part. So to get something done, some action has to take place in theory, right? So we feel good if we put some effort and we either see some fruit of that labor or something like that. So it's I gotta do something. But I think it's when we gotta do something, but it's pushing it against the flow. We're trying to like push the boulder uphill as opposed to, just touching it and letting it roll down. So what's when's the right time to push and when the time to just wait and see.
And let it happen. Yeah, and I find myself when it involves other people, I have to test the waters a little.
Mhm.
So, you know, kind of easy to test the waters when it comes to your spouse because you can go, "Oh, what mood are you in? Are you ready to do this for me? That'd be great. I can't do it on my own. I do need some assistance." And then if I look at work areas, it's a little bit trickier because just yesterday I had a few things drop into place. There'd been a number of balls up in the air, and just yesterday, oh, this happened, and then that happened, and then this happened, and then there were some things that didn't happen. And I'm waiting for the phone call back. So, how persistent do I be? Do I follow them up today? Do I give them the opportunity that I don't know, they might have other stuff going on in their life, and I don't follow it up yet, and they'll get back to me eventually? And I think when it comes to that, there's an element of trust
Mm.
that has to come in. And I wonder whether I'm always engaging in trust or I push the envelope.
I think that comes down to the way that you feel about whatever the action is that you're doing. So if it feels good, you're probably in a pretty decent space. But if you feel like "Oh, this is hard work, then you're probably on the other side of that.
And this is the thing is always being able to check in how we feel. And that can be difficult because it can be clouded by the need to get that sense of satisfaction. Okay, that's for me. Um, I just am driving towards that sense of satisfaction. And so it doesn't really matter what speed bumps I go along on the way to that. I'm just going to go there because I want that sense of satisfaction.
Mhm.
So I can push through. And then I find myself going, do I really need to push through this? Like, could I just step back a little? And when I ask that question, usually the answer is just step back.
Hmm. What do you think that is that makes you ask the question?
I think it's because I sense the hardness, the struggle, the push, and it doesn't feel good.
Hmm.
If I can recognize that it doesn't feel good, then it lets me ask that question because it's like, oh, why am I doing this?
This is it's interesting. I'm actually thinking about this topic in a different way because I had another reason for this topic to be the topic. The day after we talked last, so the last time we did a easy conversation, I hurt my elbow in a workout, and uh, pretty good. We're, to the
Oh,
point where the day after the workout, I went to hospital to get it checked.
oh,
I
that's
had
pretty, that's that's the significant injury then?
I had very little range of motion in my elbow, and it was swollen and really painful. So I went and got it checked out, make sure that it wasn't torn or something like torn off or broken or whatever. And turned out it's a really, really good strain of one of the muscles in my elbow, tricep.
Okay.
So it's affecting my elbow. So I get reminded every day, at least a few times, you can't rush this thing.
It's still healing.
It's still healing. I think it was 2 days ago. I went to go pick up my barbell because I'm still training, I'm still doing stuff, but I have to modify everything. But some of the simplest moves, just trying to get into this position with the barbell to put it on the rack so I could do other things. And it's like, oh, almost jumped out of my skin. Okay, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. So yeah, it's right now it's like in my face or my elbow right now.
Oh, your elbow. It's in
All,
your elbow. Yep.
all the time. You can't rush it. You're gonna have to peel back a little bit. You're gonna have to do other things. You're going to have to let it heal. And you can't rush the healing process.
And that can be like I said, when it's something physical, you can easily get that reminder. But I don't think we're very good at paying attention when it's something emotional or mental. We'll just keep pushing through. We ignore our little mental flags that say, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Oh, that's going to hurt a bit. Oh, I don't like, we don't have a good way of gauging. So if we've been through trauma, and I'm speaking of I've been through a significant amount of trauma. I think everyone has in whatever version of life they've lived.
Sure.
But sometimes we don't recognize if we're through that trauma or not. And we don't have that same physical reminder, or do we?
So this is where I'm struggling. Okay. So there's been a lot of things that have happened in my life the last 2 months that have been, about them, but other people likely won't. And they were pretty traumatic for me emotionally. And a part of this was triggering in me, what is it going to take you to step out there and to do it? Like, what are you waiting for? You don't know what tomorrow brings. You don't know how long you're going to be kicking around for. Sure, you've got a 106-year-old grandmother who's still managing to exist somehow. There's no guarantee I'm going to make it to 106. So what do I need to, what is it going to take for me to step out there and hang that offer out there? So for me, there is a push that way, and then me holding back too. So trying, like, it's like a push pull with the same thing. And I'm really uh kind of lost as to what's the real sign. Like what's the
Yeah,
which
what mind chatter do you pay attention to
yeah.
when you're pushing and pulling?
Hmm.
Because sometimes that mind chatter that says, oh, timing's not right can be a sabotage. It can be it's just too hard. It's just self-doubt can kick in and whatever it is that you're doing.
Is it really a rush?
So the other day I did something almost spontaneous. Now, when I do spontaneity, it's pretty planned spontaneity. But it was as spontaneous as I can get.
So you set up the picnic basket and the thing and whatever, and then tomorrow you wake up, we're going on a picnic today.
It's a bit like that.
Okay.
So I was out with my daughter and we were so at South Bank, which is the middle of the city, we have a big Ferris wheel, essentially. The Brisbane Eye. I mean, I think they're all called the Eyes, no matter where you are in the world. I don't particularly do well with heights. That Ferris wheel has been there on that site for years. We have walked past it many, many, many times, and I just have refused to go on it. But we were in the theatre, and at the break, I just got this thought, hey, Angel, why don't we just go and do that? Which I then immediately, when I said it, I'm like, do I really want to go on this thing? Because the fear
Mm.
that kicked in immediately was pretty significant. So then we walked towards it and I was like, okay, look, we'll do this, but only if the dollars seem reasonable. If the dollars don't seem reasonable, let's not do it. The dollars seemed reasonable. So then we went and bought a ticket and then we stood in line and then we got in the little, it's all enclosed. This
For
is the
sure. Yeah.
ridiculous part. It's all enclosed. There's nothing, and it was only Angel and I in the little capsule. So it's not like we had ridiculous kids running around and shaking the bucket or anything. We were just going. The first time around that it went, I literally was holding on to Angel's knee, like just looking at her, just like to give me the strength to stay in there and not
Let
pull
me
the emergency
let me know
button.
it's okay.
So sometimes, like, and just going through that experience, like the second time around that we went, it was a little bit easier. And
Took
by
a little bit. The grip relaxed a little bit on
it
Angel's
it
knee.
it did, and we found a handle that we could hold onto the side, so we both did that. Um, but then was game enough on the third round to get my phone out and to actually take some photos from a particular height. And then the fourth one, I was able to look down and not feel so much anxiety about the height that I was at. And by the fifth time round, I was like, oh, that was actually okay. So if I'd paid any attention to well, if the prices aren't very good, then we just won't do this, then I would have never had that experience with her. And I I wonder how many times it's the caveat that we put in there, that little bit of an excuse, that little bit of a justification to go and no, I'm not going to do it because of this. This would be too much. And yet something that scared me, I did it anyway, and
Mhm.
I survived, surprisingly. Uh, so we have this all the time. So yeah, that these little sabotages. Um, I don't quite know what moved me past the sabotage on Sunday. When we got home, like this is legit, got home and we told Renz what had happened, that we'd gone on the eye, and he went, "Oh, Angel, how did you get your mum on that?" And she said, no, it was all her idea. She made it happen. So it's like so out of character for me, but it's so good when we do that. There's actually, even if we feel the fear,
Mhm.
there's often something useful at the end of it on the other side of that.
There's always a learning that can be pulled from any experience, whether we deem them to be good or bad or indifferent or hard. There's always something you can take from it, and that's one thing that I've trusted in that enough that you maybe don't feel it in the moment, but you're able to look back after and go, that was really hard, but that I learned from that. And I know what I'll do differently next time, or how I can use that to my advantage, or how did I grow from that? And that somehow makes the tough experiences more livable.
Yeah, more. And then the next time you've got that tough experience, you go, okay, I've done this before. I can do it again.
But I think that's also how it works. It's like a set of stairs, right? Like if you look at the full flight, it's oh, I'm not going to be able to climb that. That's ridiculous. But if you've done a step, okay, well I can do another step. Well, I can do another step. And before long, you can look down and go, holy crap, I'm pretty high. So I think that's how it works. I think you're only given as much as you can handle at any given time. And then once you have grown from that a little bit, you took a step. Okay. And you're going to continuously get those challenges along the way, but hopefully you can anticipate them a little bit, be a little more prepared for them, be okay with it, and try to enjoy the ride a little bit too.
And so I want to just go back to your question about how do I know to ask that question to kind of keep pushing through or not, or step back. And I think when I do the step back, I'm able to look to see whether I'm getting another reminder that moving forward in that direction is good. It's like I'm getting presented with another opportunity to try it again. So if we just use your step analogy, it's like I take a step and I go, oh, that was hard. And if I just stay on that step for a little bit, I get these indications, just these like almost feedback to say, it's okay, you can take that next step. Look, that's just over here. Go for that. And it just lets me go, okay, oh, well, I've got enough in me to do that next thing, do that next step.
Yep.
And so by taking that pause, it gives me a chance to see if it's really the right step for me to be taking. I don't know that I consciously did that process for getting on the Ferris wheel.
Yeah,
Kind of maybe I did.
who knows? Probably, maybe not. But you can't rush it. So that was a right time for you to do it or to try it. And
Yes.
and when you said your last out clause was, if the dollars make sense, well then we can do it. Oh, the dollars make sense. That's not bad. Okay, maybe it is the right time. Maybe that was enough of of a compass for you that you're able to follow that a little bit, right?
Yes, and that was due to a previous experience like half an hour before when we looked at the merchandise prices for the show we'd just been at, and Angel was willing to spend $60 on a water bottle because we went and saw Wicked. It had Wicked all over, and she was prepared to spend $60. I'm like, really? I can tell you the ride on the Ferris wheel is a little cheaper than $60 a head. And it was like, well, I think the experience will bring us so much more value than $60 water bottle. And this is the thing, right? Like having those experiences sort of tagged on. It's never one thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's these like um other experiences that have led up to those moments that give us the strength or give us the indicators as well. So it's not just what we've got coming forward, but what we've also just experienced
Yeah,
that can help.
what brought you there? Cool.
Mm, yeah, definitely. So I mean, look, I don't know that I ever really am comfortable with you can't rush these things because I'm always liking to
I can
get
rush them a
things
little.
done. We could apply that to the renovations. We could apply, and yet, if I just take the moment, and I found myself saying yesterday about the renovations, oh yeah, we haven't quite done the barn door yet because Renz is thinking about how he needs to do whatever he needs to do before I can start painting the door. And that just takes time, and I can't rush that thinking because that thinking, if I give him all the space he needs to work it out in his head first, then when he gets to that door to physically shave off or cut a notch or whatever it is that he has to do, it happens straight away because he's worked it all out.
Hmm.
So I can't rush the barn door because I can't, there would be a negative impact if I rushed him.
Right.
So then I come back to, well, I'll just rush myself. I'll just do more for me. Like I'll do what I can do. Um, and this comes back to the when there are other people involved, I have to be much more patient. But I don't know that I'm patient with myself. I think that I rush when it's things I think I can do all on my own.
So I think it's a self-management process then, right?
I,
To
it is for me, yeah.
balance yourself off as far as I'm getting it. Like, yes, when other people are involved, you're gonna have to take other people's speed into consideration, their pace of doing things. Um, it's like trying to get my kids, it's like herding cats to get out of the house on time. Like it doesn't work out very well. But if I give myself lots of leeway and time, then it tends to be a lot easier because I haven't put the pressure on that they've got to perform and get out of the house on my schedule because blah. So
Because again, you can't rush these.
no, no.
And this is the thing, I wonder how much we're rushing through life. And going back to what you said, sort of indicated some of those events that have happened in the last couple of months for you. We don't want to rush these things, but also experiencing life is good
Mhm.
and doing different things is good and being able to stretch ourselves is hugely beneficial. So we also don't want to go to the opposite where we don't take action on anything.
No, and that's what I said about trying to find the balance. And maybe it's constantly testing the waters one way or the other, right? Like okay, I'm gonna and I think you're right. Like your intuition will kind of kick in, or whether this is am I pushing too hard, or can I relax and let things happen a little bit more? And I often refer to a compass when that kind of scenario comes up. Like if it feels good, you go in that direction. If it doesn't feel good, pay attention to that. Sure, explore it if you want to, but no, it might be harder than you want. And then recalibrate, reassess, and then see what feels good now, go in that direction. And that's honestly what I did when it came to putting an offer out. And I did that last week. And I felt really good that I did it. Um, and I've tried to let it go as to, okay, well, I don't know what's going to come from that yet, but I need to be okay with whatever comes up because that involves somebody else or other people, right? So are they ready? I don't know. But if I don't tell them, then they don't know.
Then
So
they don't get a chance to see if they're ready.
right, exactly. So hey, that's that's where I'm at. I'm experimenting a little bit with this. Is it the right time or is it not the right time? And I guess I'll be told at some way or some way or another whether it is or not based on how hard or easy it becomes.
I think that's a great way to round up. You can't rush these things.
Can't rush these things. I also wasn't sure when I brought up the kids. Are these things now my kids? I can't rush these things. That's kind of what I was wondering. But
Applies with everything, right? Well, what's the things in that? It's my agenda. That's the thing
yeah,
that you're trying to rush, right? Yeah, yeah. I think this is such a a broadly, you can apply this very broadly to many, many aspects. I certainly can in my life.
oh, for sure.
Yeah,
And I'll have
yeah,
more reminders tomorrow, whether or not I can try something else or not. So
yes.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for bringing this one to the table, man. This
Hey,
is good.
my pleasure to have all kinds of problems that are circulating in my life that I can bring them to you and then bring them to everybody else.
Oh.